Okay, so a little while ago, well, when I say a little while ago, I mean about a month or so ago, I talked about two titles I'm doing for another fanfiction site called the Crossover Universe, which my good friend Craig Simon is building, and should be out July 1st if everything all goes right. We've been having a little problems here and there, but yeah. So today I'm going to be revealing my third and final title for this site. The first one was Mystery Inc., which is supposed to be like next generation version of Mystery Inc., involving Danny Phantom, Gwen Tennyson from Ben 10, Dipper and Mabel from Gravity Falls. All of them put together as like the new generation of Mystery Incorporated, handling supernatural occurrences and paranormal occurrences. If you want to know more about that, just go back to that original video. And the second title I'm doing is called Doctor Who: Tales of the 12th Doctor, which is more or less stories involving the 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi's Doctor, traveling around with Marie from Ed, Edd n Eddy as his companion. Now, the third title is going to be a little different. This verges two things I love, as you can see from this title: Power Rangers and Code Lyoko. So, yes, this title will be called Power Rangers Lyoko Force. Now, originally, this is actually based off of an old fanfiction idea that I never really let come to fruition, but I thought about it, and I thought to myself, man, the crossover universe would be a great place to really extend this. So, yeah, here we are with the crossover universes. There's actually, in this universe, the crossover universe, there's actually multiple Ranger teams. There's actually, there are multiple Ranger teams going around. The Dino Charge Rangers are the newest ones, but there is another team I'm not going to talk about here because my friend Brian Kiersey has made a very cool Rangers team and a very cool backstory to that, but I don't want to spoil it here. And I know my friend Tony Tony, aka Serpentine451, he's in charge of all the Power Rangers and Super Sentai stuff on that in that universe, and and I'm in charge of all the cartoon stuff. Actually, we each have our own little things. But yeah, even though I'm in charge of the cartoon stuff, I kind of was like, hey, I got this idea for a Power Rangers team, just roll with it. And he said, oh, that's cool, so I get to do this. So yeah, Power Rangers Lyoko Force. Now, this will actually be the first European Power Rangers team. These guys are, while there's a lot of Power Rangers in America, and there is going to be some Super Sentai teams in Japan, there is actually, this is going to be the first team, this is going to be the first European Power Rangers team. So, this story, let's get into the story, because we're about 3 minutes in. I haven't told you much about it, so let's do that now. So the story is that this takes place a while after the end of Code Lyoko, and not focusing on the Code Lyoko Evolution series. Ugh. It discredited that. This makes it. This is like a new canon for it. But yeah, everything that happened in the animated Code Lyoko happened. Nothing in Evolution happened. So the story is that basically Ulrich and the others defeated Xana, shut him down. Franz Hopper is here. You know, he's with his daughter. Everything's hunky dory. But now they've discovered Xana is back and has actually constructed a new body for himself and can actually leave the physical world and has severed connections with Lyoko. He's basically made it so they can't go back to Lyoko and stop them. You know, he can't. You know, they can't do the whole return of the past or whatever, or even go into Lyoko. He's severed that connection with the supercomputer. So now that he has a physical body, he can actually now create a robot army, and he can actually transmute people into monsters. And he's got a few little henchmen working for him, like the two henchmen, Ransack and Rancid. Yeah, Ransack and Rancid are like his two minions who do a lot of work for him. He's going to have a few others, but those are the first two I want to talk about here. Ransack's this big, dumb brawler, and Rancid is this skinny, very just insane. They're both machines, but he can actually spit acid, and his body's actually he actually has a corrosive touch. That's with Rancid. While Ransack is this huge, 7-foot-tall brawler, and he ain't too bright. Anyway. But yeah, Xana now has a physical body, and now he can act without Lyoko. They're kind of effed. So, Jeremy and Dr. Hopper come together, and they more or less find a way to try to think of a way to combat this new threat. So they actually tap into the morphing grid and harness what's left of the powers of Lyoko and mix that with the morphing grid and create morphers for, for Ulrich, Yumi, Odd, Aelita, and William. Yeah, William's on their side again. But yeah, so the 5 of them become the Lyoko Force Rangers. And of course you can tell Odd is completely having a ball here. He's having way too much fun of being a Power Ranger. And yeah, so the 5 of them are going to be Power Rangers, and they're actually going to have their own Zords. So let's talk about the color coding for the Rangers. Obviously, Ulrich, Red Ranger. Yumi's going to be the Blue Ranger. Odd's going to be the Yellow Ranger. Aelita is going to be, of course, Pink Ranger. And William's going to be the Black Ranger. So, yeah. So yeah, they're all. So it kind of harkens back to the. Actually, I thought I was actually thinking of making Odd the Green Ranger, not like special Green Ranger, more like just a regular Green Ranger like we've had in like Dino Charge and RPM. So he maybe changed the Green Ranger. I'm still debating on that, but either way. So. Yeah. Now the big question is: is there going to be a 6th Ranger? Yes, there is going to be a 6th Ranger. It will not be Jeremy, but you know what? Because you guys are probably going to figure it out in the comments if I don't spoil it here. Sissy is going to actually become the 6th Ranger. She's going to become the Solar Ranger. Yeah, she's kind of become the Gold Ranger to the group, and that's going to be a very interesting story when I tap into the the Solar Ranger saga. As I like to call it. When I say saga, it's probably going to be like 4 parts. Anyway, so yeah. Now the question you're probably wondering is, what are their Zords? What are their Zords going to be? Their Zords are actually going to have a bit of an interesting backstory. They're actually going to be creatures from mythology. They're actually going to be monsters from Greek mythology. And how they're going to be formed, and how they're going to be found, and how they're going to be built is very interesting. I don't want to spoil it here, but it does harken back to a certain Godzilla film. I don't want to say which one, but I'm pretty sure some of you guys are figuring out in your head which Godzilla film I'm referencing with that. But yeah, monsters from Greek mythology are going to be their Zords, and that's going to be a very interesting story to tackle when I get to that. Also, for weapons, their weapons are actually going to be from Lyoko. They're going to be like updated versions of the weapons they had in Lyoko. Ulrich's going to have his swords. Yumi's going to have her fans. Odd is going to have his laser arrows, but they're actually going to be guns this time. They're actually going to be blasters, dual blasters. And Aelita's actually going to have a bow and arrow, and William's going to have this just big. It's going to become an axe this time. It's going to become an axe, similar to Mighty Morphin Black Ranger. And Sissy's going to have the Solar Saber. Yeah, the Solar Saber, and the Sun Shield. But yeah, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I told Tony, Craig, and Brian this. I was like, "Hey, I got this very interesting idea. Just roll with me on this." And they were like, "Yeah, let's do it." Yeah, so this is going to be a lot of fun to do. There are those wondering why I didn't make Jeremy a ranger. Is because, well, Jeremy's not really a fighter. He's more of a planner. He's the guy who works the scene, works from behind the scenes. And I'm actually going to delve into how he feels about not being able to become a ranger, and how he feels kind of left out these days. So more so than he did in Lyoko. At least in Lyoko, he could actually help coordinate their situations and help plan with them. But now it just feels like, well, they're out doing shit without me, so I feel a little hurt here. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Gonna harken there will be other mentions and cameos of other Rangers. I can assure you of that, because there are other Rangers in this universe. And yeah, and I will say this: since they Franz, Hopper, and Jeremy, more or less tapped into the power of the morphing grid, and how they did it may lead to some dangerous effects to the morphing grid and the Power Rangers themselves. but I don't want to say how, and I don't want to say how that's going to lead in, how those kind of problems are going to flourish. But yeah, they're going to have consequences for making these rangers. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much the whole the whole spiel right there. Hope you guys are interested, and yeah, just stay tuned for the crossover site. I will be doing that's coming out in July 1st of this year, assuming everything goes well. But yeah, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and stay tuned for for Power Rangers Lyoko Force.